Alright, so we're just up here in this wee corner of the shed. I'm after pulling the trailer out here. It's a wee bit of a YouTube inspiration, this one. I was watching a fella on YouTube, I forget even what the channel name was, and I seen just little bits of inventions or ways that you can organise tools. And I seen this one here, where a fella just got bits of downpipe. You cut it at an angle, screw it there, and then you drop your pieces like this here, whatever it is, drop your handles down through there, and the bottom of your handle sits there, and it holds it lovely and secure. Grand job. Until I came along and put this above it, and that kind of rendered it useless. It was never that terribly great. I had a bright idea, not all of them work. But today we're going to just make a wee change to it that hopefully this time, second time lucky, it will work better. Yeah, there's a biggie. Well, now it's milking time. Myself and Sophia now brings in the cows herself, but I'm going over with her this evening because our cows are in the reseeded field, and for once they're not up at the gate waiting to get in. I presume they're pretty full. I also see there's a drinker leaking. So I did put a post on Instagram, and a few people mentioned, Adrian, is it not a bit soon to be grazing it? And a few people were worried that you should cut it and not graze it first so cows don't rip it up by the root. Not an issue. The weather's lovely and dry at the moment. The grass is really well established. When you catch it yourself, pull it up. You're not going to pull any roots up out of the ground. It's well established. You get the fright sometimes you think a cow's dead, but she's actually sound asleep. No, she's awake. They have it well grazed, not grazed tight, but I give them a little bit too much yesterday. I knew that. The drinker's a wee bit far over here. I just wanted to see how they were going to graze it. It's nice and dry now, and it's given a couple of dry days. So it's ideal times to get it grazed out. We'll slow them down a bit now and make them eat it a wee bit tighter, but that's as good as you can ask for. When we look at it here, what we've got in front of them, it's very, very thick, like very, very dense. So when we were ploughing this field, Jonathan marked his plough along here, and he ploughed that way towards the bottom, and then this bit here he ploughed that way, and you can see the difference in the two. No difference in the quality of grass, but there's a lot more weed here. You can see the line. It's very, very easy to make it out. Is there a reason for that? Why the weeds came on the part that was ploughed downhill rather than not nearly a single weed on the stuff that was ploughed across the way? What's the idea of that? It should have been grazed probably about a week ago, but we did get heavy rain then, and I was just worried about tramping. I didn't want to tramp any part of the field. Maybe I was wrong, I don't know, but we let it get a little bit stronger than probably should have. It's my first time ever using an igmatic seeder. We always used just a grass box to put in our seed, and I was sceptical of it, like anything you're using for the first time. Of course you would be. But I'm really, really pleasantly surprised how well it turned out. And now I'm confident and go into any field and do the very, very same. And we will. We plan to do a lot of reseeding now. Next year will be a big year for it. What'll happen now, what it is, we'll let the cows hopefully graze it lovely and tight, finish it up. We'll get in with the hands and we'll gather as many stones as we can, give it a roll, apart from maybe a spray later on in the year, not just right away yet. Get rid of those few docks and any bits of chickweed and stuff like that that's there, but otherwise, good result. All right, well, we're just over here now in a paddock here, just sowing right along where the cows are. But my cows, I was just looking at them there and they seem to be a little bit on edge, and it is only 12 o'clock in the day, so I mightn't just give them enough of grass, so I'm going to have to let them into what would have been tomorrow's grass just to get them fill themselves up. I normally wouldn't do that, but last night I just didn't give them enough grass last night, and they're up on top of a hill and the grass was thinner than I imagined. So this morning I knew by them they were fairly unsettled and they were roaring to get in to get milked, and I just knew I didn't give them enough. So today they can spoil themselves. They've got nice lush grass there now. They'll be full when they're coming in the night. Another thing I noticed the year, and you might have seen a clip up, I might have actually shared some in a video as well, ragweeds. Are you having trouble with ragweeds the year on the farm? I went around here and I've gathered so many of them. New ones keep popping up and keep popping up here and there, and no matter how many we gather, there seems to be an awful lot of them this year. It's just around the fence lanes, just like you see here. So I'm going to have to pull them ones now this evening when I'm taking the cows in, take the spade over me, get them out by the root, get them gone out of here. Seen there for maybe 5 years, 6 years, there wasn't one on the farm, but in the last 3 years, they seem to be popping up everywhere. There's an awful amount of wind blowing, and wind blowing nearly every day, a strong wind. And I think that's helping the seed to travel, and that might be the reason why, looking around all the neighbouring farms exactly the same, we're getting a lot of ragweeds this year. Two little issues we have on this tractor that I do need to fix. They're small issues, but they can cause massive problems. One of which is the brakes. The air brakes on this. So every time I turn this tractor off, you can hear a little hissing noise. And some tractors do that, they release a little bit of air, and then when it falls below a certain PSI, it stops, cuts out, like a pressure release valve. But this one has more than that of a problem, because when I come up some mornings, it doesn't always happen. If you take the tractor without knowing what you're doing or being prepared for it, you tear off and you put your foot in the brake and there's not a stitch of brakes, there's no air in the system whatsoever, and that shouldn't be. Another thing is we have a light unit in the back of this tractor that's rusted out inside, corroded out inside, and I've opened it up a few times and managed to get it working. When you leave it overnight and come back to it, it seems to lose its air all the time. That means I've no indicator or brake lights on that side. I'm not worried about the brake lights, but I'm worried about the indicator when I'm on the road. Especially when I was coming home here, there was a queue of cars behind me and I had no indicator on that side. I do have one on the back of the spreader, which would save your bacon, but if there was, God forbid, an accident, I'd be responsible. So, I'll take my mic off. I'm going to bring it over beside this. I'm not sure if you can hear that. Can you hear that hissing? Yeah, so that fitting there, that quick attach, there's a bit of a loop on that pipe. It might be just a little bit too sharp maybe, and something has kind of pulled it, or it's just maybe worn and there's a wee bit of a crack in it. I'll get a new piece of pipe for this, and hopefully that fitting itself is okay, and that will fix that problem. It's an easy fix, but it's an essential one. We're just after moving our calves there, if you haven't figured that one out already. We're not using this field for silage again. There's quite a few weeds over here, as you can see. This paddock was topped. You've seen that in a couple of videos back, but the nettles and thistles are coming back again. So our plan for the day is to get the calves in here. We're going to close this off then, and we're going to spray the 3 paddocks that's along here right down to the road at the very bottom, and that will kill off all of them weeds. 13 is here somewhere. Where are you, 13? Here you are beside me. She is photosensitive, so the light affects her eyes. It actually affected her skin as well, which has fully cleared up, but her eyes are still a little bit watery and still not fully open, but an awful lot better. We have treated her with various different things. The vet told us that it's something that she would grow out of. Time will tell with that, but she's healthy. Just something we haven't seen before, but hopefully with time she'll fully heal up. Now that we are in this area, we're very close to where our third cut is. So it'd be a shame not to show you. This is our third cut. It's coming on nicely. It's only sown now about 2 weeks now, around about that. It's got plenty of both slurry and fertiliser, and the weather's good. The weather's nice and warm, so we're hoping that we can get a good third cut out of this and get several bales. The more, the better. A lot of people are asking where this buck has been hiding, a Cooper. He's not in any of the videos really. Well, he's only a pup. You have to be very careful because a lot of people go up and down in our lane. We'd just be worried about a car hitting him, or the fact that he might run off. Hudson was young and Bailey when she was young, they both run off and we had to go searching for them. And we certainly didn't want to have to go looking for Cooper. So when he's out, we just watch him. We make sure there's always someone with a set of eyes on him. He absolutely loves the kubota. He jumps in and out of it now. As soon as I rattle the door, he's in and he's ready to go. Another thing we fitted on him as well, not a cement block, it's actually a tracker. One guy I follow in New York, I noticed it on his 2 dogs who seem to like run off as well, so I decided I'd get one. I don't know, I thought the battery life would be better on it, but which is supposed to be around a month. Well, it has went down about 30-40% battery in 2 days, 3 days, so yeah. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. In you get. This lower paddock here, and this is going to give you an idea of what we're talking about. Now, we sprayed this one twice last year. They did come back, and there's quite a few just bunched in this area here. If we go further over, it's not as bad. Right, and away we go. I must admit, there's a bit there I didn't get on the camera. One thing when you take this sprayer off, I must actually make a little stand for it or something. But when you do take it off, there's a tendency to roll over. We had a wee bit of wind here one night, back at the weekend, and it did roll backwards. Sprayer lies. Just trying to drop it here a wee bit. Very, very uneven ground here. So one side you could be really high, and the other side you could be rubbing the ground if you didn't watch what you're at. Didn't check it over before I put stuff in it, which I should have. My own mistake. And there were 2 big leaks. One thing was completely missing a nozzle, the screw-in part, the quick release, or whatever you want to call it. One of them was just loose from the fall, and the other one, the nozzle had fallen off in the field, and I managed to walk back and find it. How in the name of God I found it? But it just presented itself, and that doesn't happen very often. That's another little job done. That's a nice one to get wrapped up before making them. So that lathe has been doing that for the past year. I'd take into it, fix it, clean all the terminals inside, put it back together again. It might work for a couple of days or whatever, but as soon as you stop the tractor, let it sit for a period of time, 24 hours, get on it again, there's no light. I have a wee bit of silicone on it, stop the water from getting in. Yes, I'm not sure if you can see it, but up there on the very top, there is the bolts we have to remove, and I can see there's a lovely bit of corrosion on them. Just going to make it easier. Tell you what I use now this last while on rusted stuff. Doesn't matter really what brand you get. It's rust shock spray. It's supposed to fast freeze it, and then it kind of shocks it, but the rust will just kind of crack. I can tell you now that the whole thing is turning. It's exactly like I thought was going to happen. Alright, so I'm just going to introduce Mr. Vice Grips to the game. He wanted to get playing, so not deny him a place. Still nothing. Mr. Vice Grips' bigger brother out to play, and he had to come out of work and he wasn't that overly pleased about it. So that nut gave up fairly quickly when that happened. As far as I know, the bulbs are all inside this. It looks a bit shinier. Now, a person will be right in asking, Adrian, did you check the terminal and make sure it's not all corroded? I did. I've had it off a few times. But one thing I did want to do was come back to it and put a little bit of grease just on the terminals on both sides. And this is not ordinary grease, this is electrical grease. One thing about it is you make sure you wash your hands after, don't let it near your eyes, because this stuff would burn you alive. But it does keep terminals from corroding. Alright, before we button everything up, we need to check to see is it working. Solid. So I'm just over here on a really windy evening again. It's windy every day. This is the reseeded field here after about 7 days grazed, just a week grazed. and you can see the way the grass is coming back on it. All we did with it was put a very, very light coat of slurry on it and cross it really, really quickly, and that's all it has got. It wasn't until I started watching YouTube I realised so many different ways people reseed ground. I'd always say, do whatever works for you. Don't go by any rule book, because there really isn't any. The basic principles of it is fairly straightforward. I do think if it's a field that hasn't been ploughed in a while, it has been exposed to compaction, it's hard to beat the plough. It just really is hard to beat it. Turn it over. It's a new leaf, as they say. You're turning over a new leaf. A lot of people ask about different seeds and stuff. I don't go into detail on that because be careful of what I show. As in, I'm not being sponsored by anybody. I'm just doing what I always have done. I buy my seed locally, just in a local co-op. But I would say the best thing is get your soil sampled and talk to whoever your advisor is. That's what they're there for. Make use of them. See, we also have a lot of clover in the mix. We always add clover to our mix. Another thing I notice is with the new grass that's growing back after the first graze, there's nearly no chickweed, so the grass will smother the chickweed hopefully down, because there is a very good growth at the minute and it will suppress that. So I'm just over here to move a fence for tomorrow morning for the cows for the daytime. But before I do that, I want to take a second just to say thank you for starters. Thank you for the support the channel gets. Number one, whether it's just an interaction or whether it's just someone clicking a like button, I never ask you to do it, and don't do it unless you actually like what's in the video, because I want the videos, I want them to be enjoyable. I don't want them, you just click a like because you want to click like. I want them to be enjoyable. That's a simple fact of it. And hopefully they are, but yeah, do thank you for the support. Doesn't go unnoticed, I promise you that. But also this week, wow, that wind is something else. Anyway, it's this Friday, but Thursday of last week, we got a brave scare in our house. Monday back, 2 weeks ago, our little girl, Saoirse, she's our youngest. She's almost 3. She's 3 now in November. She took quite sick, and I mean just like a bug. What a bug would be. She was throwing up. She looked very white and very tired of herself, and just everything that's associated with a normal bug. So that's what we thought it was. So Tuesday came along and she seemed to be in much better form on the Tuesday, which we said, right, that's what it was. It was only a 24-hour thing. And it wasn't until about Wednesday night that Sinead noticed at first a yellowness starting to come in the white of her eye, and she couldn't keep her eyes open. She was very, very tired. So anyway, we went to the doctor that evening. He sent us over to the child clinic in our local hospital. They didn't seem too concerned about it. They thought maybe it was just a bug or just some sort of virus she picked up. That was until they got their blood results took that she got as soon as she went in. That told a different story. Her enzyme levels of your blood, I can't remember the exact letters of them. There's a lot of detail was put in front of us. These levels were supposed to be between 1 and 200 for a healthy blood sample from a child of her age. Ours was nearly 2,900, which was very concerning. It just meant her liver wasn't doing what it was supposed to do, and it wasn't filtering her blood, basically. That changed things very quickly. She was going to obviously be kept in hospital, so Mum stayed the first night. I went over and I stayed during the daytime. On the following day, when I took over after Mum that night and I got the work done, her face and all, her body was turning yellow. It was very scary, and I'll be honest with you, it scared the living daylights out of us, both me and Mum, because when you see especially a young child like that, your own child, they seem very vulnerable, and you felt like you couldn't do anything. We got an ultrasound done that day on the Thursday, and it showed that her liver and her gallbladder were enlarged. Her gallbladder was very enlarged, or thickened is what the words I think they used. But we'll never forget that ultrasound, because the woman, you could see it in her face. She called a doctor in, and we had to wait quite a while, and he came in, he looked at it, and you could just see the face. But thankfully, skipping over all of that, we got to the Friday and we got to the Saturday, and our bloods were showing much improvements, like rapid improvements. She went from 2,100 to 1,400 to 1,100, and then she got to go home on Saturday evening, which we were over the moon with. Her colour was still yellow, but she was coming back to herself. We had her back then on the bank holiday Monday for another round of bloods, which again showed it down to 695, so it was coming down all the time. She's back to her own colour. We have to go back and get another checkup done now shortly with her as well. It was a rare virus that she caught, very rare. It's not something you can really pass from one person to the other. It's something she ingested, either water or food. Nobody in our house had contracted or had it before her, but there was a person who she was in close contact with. We only actually found out when she was actually sick that they had a similar virus, and the two were possibly linked. So without a doubt, it was a massive worry for me, Mum, and all of our family were worried about her. That's why last Sunday we missed our video and we put it up on the Monday. That's what was wrong. But look, thanks for all the well wishes. We're grateful for that. She's all right. back home, back to mischief now. That's all that's important. Thankfully, one of the biggest reliefs we had from it all is that they tell us there'll be no lasting damage from it. Young kids repair, their body repairs very, very fast, a lot faster than someone in their late 20s like me. That was that, but there was another little bit of drama right in the middle of it all, as always. We had a little bit of a trouble with our auger system back about 3 weeks ago. So this is the auger system here. This is the pipe that runs the whole way out to our meal bin, which is just behind that wall out there. And that has a big screw inside that runs the whole length of it. And when this motor comes on, it turns that screw, and that screw just basically pulls the meal. It falls with gravity out of the bin and it pulls it the whole way in here. And then just with gravity, it falls down here at these junctions, fills these guys up. That leaves it ready for cows. There's a wee sensor over there on the very last one, a little paddle switch. And when it gets full, it hits again the paddle switch and turns the system off. About 3 weeks ago, it stopped working. This side here stopped working. Turn it on and it wouldn't even turn. I took the bin, the bottom of the bin off, and that little screw wasn't turning. It was just going like this here, back, forth, about a quarter of a revolution every time. So I had to ring a guy to come out and look at it. Luckily, he was working on a farm right beside us. As soon as he turned it on, it worked. It hadn't been working for more than 24 hours, and we had pulled it apart, turned it on several times, rooted at it, done everything we could to it, and the thing wouldn't work. He turned it on, and it just instantly cured itself. And it worked flawlessly until that day when we went in to get the ultrasound of the second day our little girl was in hospital. It's an important thing, because there was no meal in the hoppers and we'd have to start bucketing in, and you get me, it was just a stressful enough time at that. So anyway, I got up here early in the morning and I went up in here to this motor and could see it wasn't turning, so I checked the capacitors and seen that one of them was completely blown apart. This is a capacitor here, and there are two of them on the top of this motor. And you can see a little dark patch there and a split. So that one there had blown open. I think this one was just, no, there it is. You can see it. See the cap the way it's pushed out? I had a root out myself, sure, of course I did. I took a capacitor out of the power washer that we had over there in the corner. It looked the same, I put it into it, and it still wouldn't work, but I was close to fixing it. I should have took the other one out of it as well and put two in, because I didn't realise both of them are blown. So anyway, I rung a fella. He was again just over the road from me, and he spun out when I was over in the hospital and he fixed it. He rung me, I told him what it possibly was causing it, and he had a look at it, and that's exactly what was causing it. He fixed it and rung me just in the middle of the ultrasound. And he at least broke some good news to me. Problem solved. And one other little thing that we got done during the week. Remember when our power went off? We did buy a generator, but we added this guy here. This is the infamous changeover switch. So you can see here on the bottom, this down is for generator and up is for the grid. So if power goes out, we can hook our generator now into a junction, into a proper junction. Just flick that switch and it'll cut off the mains coming in and connect to the generator. Very, very simple, but a very, very important thing. I was talking to a lot of different farmers around that time that a lot of men had no changeover switches in. They were able to get generators, but then they were looking for an electrician just to hook them in, and they thought it was just a fact of plugging it in somewhere and away they went. Problem is, when you hardwire it in like that, you get current that goes back the mains. If you don't do it right, it goes back the line, and you have to remember there's lads out repairing power lines, and you're sending, in our case, 18 kVA of power, probably close to what a transformer would produce on a pole, back that line to them guys who are working on them wires. And you can imagine the problem that it caused. So a changeover switch, something you should look at and get done before the power goes off if possible. We'll see you